Welcome back into the Sports Source, this segment of our program brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Squirrels, skunks, snakes, rats, raccoons, and with the recent weather, perhaps fish, whatever critters work their way into your home or business, call Southeast Termite and Pest Control's Wildlife Division to line up humane removal. Although I wrote here on the list, human removal. I don't know that they do that. That kind of pest they don't do. Every other kind of pest, they'll take care of it. Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Check out southeasttermite.com. All right, let me welcome in the next two members of our panel here. Longtime sports writer and coverer of the Vols, longtime person on our show, Bob Hodge.
Just long time.
Long time. And right now, a new member, David Ubben from The Athletic. And boy, that is one of the best buys I've made in a long time, theathletic.com. David Ubben, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, let's spring practice starts this week. A nice signing period, 2 new coordinators, whole lot of staff changes. The return of T. Martin seems to have gotten some of the excitement level back up after a bad finish last year. Let me ask you a couple of take it or leave it questions as we start looking toward 2019. First one, take it or leave it. There's going to be more pressure on Derek Ansley, defensive coordinator, than on Jim Chaney, offensive coordinator this year. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I think the big reason is there's about 3 of them. You paid a lot of money to go get Chaney. I think a lot of people wanted Chaney to be here, and so that's going to bring a lot of pressure on him. But the difference is Pruitt is a defensive coach. So I think whatever happens with defense is going to fall more on Pruitt than it will on his defensive coordinator. Okay. So I think there's going to be a ton of pressure on Chaney, but I think Pruitt kind of covers Ansley a little bit because if it's bad defense, hey, you're the defensive guy, head coach.
Yeah, I agree with Bob. And I think also when we talk about pressure, that comes back to what the fan base thinks. And fans are often watching play calls on the offensive side. And if they don't like the play calls, they can more easily call them out on the offensive end than on the defensive end. And then if they don't like what they're seeing on the defensive side, they'll ask, why did the head coach make this hire or give these duties over? Will he hold on to these duties? I think it opens up more questions than criticism of Derek Ansley.
David, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think when you talk about Ansley, you got a first-time play caller, like you said, for a defensive coach, it's a little bit different versus Chaney where you have, he's going to have pretty much carte blanche on this offense. And a guy that has so much experience and so much expectation and $1.5 million to do his job. So, yeah, I definitely go with Chaney on that one.
I could turn it, though. You guys took it as pressure from fans. It's Pruitt's defense. He's going to be right here looking over Derek Ansley's shoulder. I don't know.
That's a good point.
Ways. But, all right, let's move on. Oh, you had something else to say?
I was just going to say fans watch a game, run, pass. Yes. That's what they criticize.
Oh, yeah.
They really don't know what the defense just did unless it's some kind of a blitz or something where you can tell exactly. So
yeah, we don't get too many calls about stunts.
Yeah,
exactly.
There aren't enough twists. Let me show you a quote before we do this next question. This is from last August. Jeremy Pruitt talking about play call. He said, I'm going to call the plays on game day. If I can't call the plays, I'm going to quit coaching. That was a no-brainer. I like to coach defensive backs, as Terry Fair found out. I like to be involved in the game planning, and I like to call the defense. I would call the offense, too, if I could. Somewhere Ty Hilton just got a cold shudder down his spine. I'm going to throw this one to David first. Take it or leave it. Jeremy Pruitt will allow his coordinators to handle all play calling in 2019.
Well, if they go 12-0, then sure. But, I mean, yeah, Jeremy Pruitt, I think pretty clearly in year one had a heavy hand. And I think right now, we're sitting here, it's March. You feel like, okay, we've assessed things. We want to reboot things a little bit. But when you get to October and you give up 40 to somebody, I think things can change in a hurry. We saw that last year. I wrote about this at The Athletic, but that last game at Vanderbilt, we saw Jeremy Pruitt, every time the offense was coming on the field, he's getting handed a play sheet, and he's looking at the play sheet. He's right next to Tyson Helton. And then all of a sudden, when the offense is off the field, he's handing the play sheet back. Some GA is grabbing it from him. So I asked him after the game, what was your involvement? He said, well, no different than the last 12 games. It's like, my eyes say differently. So we'll see. I think you're going to see how these things play out, and we'll I think a lot of it's just going to depend on how these things look. And the first time that they struggle, I think you're going to see them probably have a little bit heavier hand.
If you're a hands-on coach, it's very difficult. Even if you know you need to, it would be very difficult to pull back on that. I'm going to have to ask for a very quick answer. Take it or leave it. Pruitt's going to allow those guys to do their jobs.
I think he's going to allow Chaney to do his job.
Okay. But think he'll be in there with Anson?
I think David said, first time they get a first down, boom, what's going on?
Yeah, I will take us revisiting this subject in the middle of the season on the defensive side.
I think so too. Yeah, I bet so too. All right, we got one more segment of football a little late, but let's get back to basketball. That's next. You can read what's next on the graphic beneath me. See you in a second.